fans, welcome back to
Good afternoon, baseball fans, and welcome here to the Gus. First pitch in this elimination game at 2:20, 69 degrees, mostly cloudy here at the Gus. Leadoff hitter for Kettle Moraine, post 196, the Lasers, is Emmett Kelchin. 0-2 is the count to Kelchin. Pitching is Dylan Frederick for Oconomowoc. It's a ball, 1-2. Let's set the defense here for Oconomowoc. Frederick is on the mound. Schreindel is behind the plate. Shepard at first, Hoyda at second, Neverman at short, and Harkins is at third. In the outfield, Olson, Oppold, and Bruns. 2-2 is the count here to Kelchin. Here comes the pitch. A little bit low. 3-2. Frederick's ready to deal from the windup. Here's the pitch. Right down the middle. Fouled off. Left-handed hitter. Kelchin is also the center fielder for the Lasers. Here comes the pitch. Inside, gets away from the catcher. Kelchin just going to trot on down. Gets on base on balls. Brings up number 7, Caden Asher, and he's going to be pitching today for Kettle Moraine. So Kelchin with the lead over at first. Here's the pitch. High for a ball. Frederick's ready to deal. Kelchin takes off and gets a stolen base.
Stolen base for Kelchin.
Runner in scoring position here for Kettle Moraine right away. Therefore, a ball, 3-0 to Asher. Kelchin over at third. Here's the pitch. In there for a strike. 3-1. Here comes the next pitch. In the dirt low, and is going to get a second walk.
Asher draws a walk, brings up catcher Dominic Fracaro.
Brings up number 3, the catcher Dominic Fracaro. Runners at first and second. Kelchin is at second. Asher is at first. Catcher's coming out to have a conversation. That's Schreindel coming out to talk to Frederick. Here comes the next pitch in by Frederick. Break ball attempted, didn't break. Ball 1 to Fracaro. Here's the pitch. A little bit high, ball 2. Kettle Moraine already with 2 runners on base. Nobody out. Here's the pitch. Just a bit outside. 3-0. Here's the next pitch. Inside, hits him on the shoulder. Bases are now loaded for Kettle Moraine.
Draws the walk to load the bases. Brings up third baseman Logan Grunwald. Viewer in there.
27, you go with 27.
Brings up number 32, Logan Grunwald.
Anybody else see a 27 on here?
Ball one to Grunwald. There's the strike. So 3 runners on, 2 with a walk and 1 by a hit by pitch. Here comes the pitch. In the dirt, scoots away from Schreindel, but he's able to get on it in time before a runner could score. Bunt. In there for a strike. 2-2 to Grunwald. In there for a strike.
Strike 3.
He should be out.
No, I think he called the first one a ball or something.
Okay, 3-2 is the count. Strike 3 on the outside edge. Strikes out.
Grunwald goes down looking for the first out. Brings up first up Ethan Viewer.
Brings up number 1, Ethan Buer. Shortstop for Kettle Moraine.
Randy, that's a correctable error, right? If he's not on here?
Should be, yeah. As long as he's eligible, he should be okay to have him.
Found him?
Courtesy runner?
Is it Zerdowski by any chance?
No. Oh. Which one?
27. Do you have it?
I don't have a 27 either.
27.
That's who's running.
Hit on the ground to the shortstop. Picks it up, flips it to second. He's in there safe. As Neverman tried to get it to Hoyda.
Viewer reaches on the fielder's choice, brings in a run. Brings up left fielder Brennan Strajewski. Norwich on deck. That first pitch in. Second.
What is he doing? I don't know. Yeah, it's dumb. They got out of the jam.
Strajewski hits it into 1-5. Double play to the entire side. In the inning for KML, they pick up a run on no hits. They strand 2 after 1. KML 1. Oconomowoc on the bat.
Keeping a lineup card, but I knew that guy. That guy pitched in the game, and he tried to put him in as a courtesy. Yeah, after he pitched.
25 pitches for Frederick, 25.
I was like, I don't have any lineups for him. Like, oh, that kid has played already.
25 pitches for Dylan Frederick. 1 run on no hits, no errors, and 2 left on. After 1/2 inning, Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196 won. And Oconomowoc post. Welcome back here to the Gus as we get ready for the bottom of the first inning. Oconomowoc post 91 coming up to bat. Let's set their defense for you for Kettle Moraine. On the mound is going to be Asher. Caden Asher. Catching will be Fracaro. Over at first is Eckert. Voges is at second. Buer is at short. And Grunwald is at third. Strajewski, Kelchin, and Lorich are your outfielders, left to right. Asher ready to pitch. The first pitch to Caden Oppold, leadoff hitter. In there for a ball. That's what I just asked Randy. If he's not rostered, he can't play, right? Yeah. 1-1 to Oppold. Stepping out.
Case of the Ryan Durant's here.
Asher ready to deliver. Here's the pitch. On the outside edge for a second strike. 1-2.
We had that one year. Ryan had played with us all season long. And
Fouls that one off.
turned the roster in. Well, that was the year that Kevin DeBoer was like pretty much on his deathbed. So Jordan was helping him fill out the roster and never rostered Durant. He couldn't, and that was we made it to Nationals, and he couldn't play with us.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was needless to say. Mary was not very happy. Under Ryan wasn't happy either, but understandable.
1-2.
Honest mistake. We did it intentionally, that's for sure.
Once again, here's the pitch to Oppold. He's going to get beamed in the back, and he's going to draw a hit by pitch.
Lead off for a two-hitter most of the year. I mean, Vetch kind of went back and forth, but Apple draws a leadoff walk. Sorry, hit by pitch. Brings up left fielder Augie Olson. Way down there.
Brings up number 27, Augie Olson. He's the left fielder for Oconomowoc, left-handed hitter. Here comes the pitch, turns to bunt. In there for a strike. Oppold over at first for Oconomowoc. Turns to bunt again. This time it's on the outside, 1-1. Third game for both of these teams here in this Region 4 16U tournament. Runner takes off, gets underneath the catcher.
It's got to be a pass ball, right?
Yep.
Ball, yeah?
Yep.
Runner advances on the pass ball.
Oppold is in with a stolen base. Runner in scoring position here now for Oconomowoc. Here comes the pitch. Fouled off by Olson. 1-2. Oppold over at second. Shortstop Buer moves in to try and hold him close. Asher from the stretch. Here's the pitch. Inside. Gets away from Fricaro again. It's going to allow the runner to get over to third.
Runner advances on the right field.
2-2 is the count. 3-2?
I think it's full, yeah. I got full.
I must have missed that last one. Yep. Full count. Here comes the pitch from Asher. On the outside edge, goes down looking for an out.
Olson goes down looking for the first out, brings up second baseman Ryan.
Brings up number 14, Ryan Hoyda. He's the second baseman.
Huh? Seen guys call this all the time on the turf here.
Here's the next pitch.
It's used a lot.
Fouled off by Hoyda. Oppold sitting over at third base. Asher ready to deliver for Kettle Moraine. Here's the pitch. Down the middle. Popped up. Shortstop Buer's calling for it and drops it. And the runner ended up holding.
Hoyda reaches on the air and brings up first baseman Drake Shepard. Neverman on deck.
E6. Runners at the corners now for Oconomowoc. Drake Shepard.
Not confidence you expect to see out of somebody playing shortstop on a pop-up.
No.
That looked terrible.
In there for first pitch strike.
Like that, I would have been turned towards home plate.
Runners at first and third from the stretch. Runner takes off. No throw. Stolen base there for Hoyda.
Base for Hoyda.
Runners at second and third.
What did you figure out?
Here's the pitch. Hit on the ground
He said he wasn't on the roster, but he's been on
to the third baseman. Throws it, steps on it. Ends up getting the out and holds the runs.
Pepper grounds the third for the second out. Brings up shortstop Drew Nepperman.
Nice play there by Gronwald to hold the runners at second and third.
Oconomowoc's got- Huh? Never mind, I got Oconomowoc's number.
Drew Neverman. Here's the pitch. Fouled off for strike one to the shortstop.
No, he can't play. He's not going to be in the team. Oh, need a team? Yeah.
Asher ready to throw the pitch for the Lasers. Here's the pitch. High. 1-1. Two down here for Oconomowoc, post 91 at bat. Here comes the pitch. Inside. 2-1.
And you can use a different courtesy runner. As long as he's eligible.
Here comes the pitch. Also high, 3-1 now to Neverman.
So now somebody's able to tell that kid's parents that he's not rostered.
Not my job.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking that one either.
I guess he's been on the roster all year.
Oconomowoc trying to score
You know that.
to match the one run scored by Kettle Moraine on the outside edge. Strike two.
Did Randy ring him up on that? Yep.
Outside in.
Runners at second and third. Here's the pitch. Gets him swinging for the third out.
Everyone goes down, swinging to retire the side. The inning for Oconomowoc.
No runs, no hits,
Hits.
one error, and two left on.
Two after one. 1-0 KML.
After one, your score from the Gus in Waupun. Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196 1. Oconomowoc post 91 0. We'll be back for the top of the second. You're listening to Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live streams. Welcome back here to the Gus. Top of the second. Lead off for Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196.
Top of the second.
Number 10, Grayson Lorich. Back at it is Dylan Frederick on the mound. Kettle Moraine with a 1-0 lead going here into the top of the second. First pitch in there for a strike to Lurich. Seven, 8, and 9 in the batting order. That's going to be popped up. Foul. Ahead 0-2. Here comes the next pitch by Frederick. In the dirt for a ball. 1-2. Ready to deal. Here's the next pitch. Slap foul again to the right-hand side. Out of play. 2-2. Here comes the pitch. Breaking ball in there for a strike. The slurve gets him for the strikeout. Brings up Sullivan Voges. Number 15 for Kettle Moraine. That's going to be hit hard right at the left fielder, though, and that's going to be an out on the first pitch. Brings up the number 9 hitter, Brady Eckert. First baseman for Kettle Moraine. Here's the next pitch. Gets him swinging at that eye-level fastball. Two down here for Oconomowoc defense. Yeah, on the outside edge for a strike. 0-2. Here's the next pitch by Frederick. Same location almost. That's a ball. May have been a little bit high. It's hard to tell from here. Here's the next pitch. Inside, grounder over to the third baseman. Fields it cleanly. That's Harkins. Fires it and ends up tagging him. A nice play there by Shepard to reach out and tag after that bad throw by the third baseman.
Nice play by the first baseman. Retires Eckert and Kettle Moraine. No runs, no hits, nobody left.
No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. After 1.5 complete, your score is 1-0. Post 91 from Oconomowoc with the lead. For the bottom of the second, Oconomowoc coming up to bat. Catcher Parker Schreindel leading things off. Asher for the first pitch from Kettle Moraine. Throws it in there for a strike. 6, 7, 8 hitters due up here in this inning. Little bit low, 1-1. Here comes the pitch from Asher. Breaking ball. Hangs a little bit, 2-1. Here's the next pitch. Down the middle, that's going to be hit to the second baseman who misses it.
Harkins reaches on the air, brings up first pitcher, Dylan Frederick. Runs on there.
Error on the second baseman. As runners now at first and second with nobody out, brings up the pitcher, Dylan Frederick, number 34. Here comes the pitch. Turns to bunt. Ball. Here's the pitch from Asher. It's also a ball. A little bit high and outside. Shrindell is at second. Harkins is at first. For post 91 from Oconomowoc. Here comes the pitch. Bunt. Foul. 2-1 to Frederick. Here comes the pitch at his head. Gets past Fracaro. And that's going to be a opportunity for the runners to advance to second and third on the wild pitch. 3-1 is the count to Frederick. Here comes the pitch. High and walks him. Bases are loaded. Brings up the number 9 hitter, right fielder, number 1, Austin Bruns. Nobody out. Here in the bottom of the second. Bottom of the lineup doing their job here, getting runners on bases. Bases are loaded, no place to put them. Fouls, flares that one off to right. Allows 1 run to score. They fire it in. Nice job there by the right fielder to get the ball in quickly, but 1 run scores on the RBI by Bruns. Brings up top of the order, Caden Oppold, the center fielder, wearing number 9. Was hit by pitch, got all the way over to third, but got stuck there. So 1 run is scored, tying the game at 1 apiece. Still nobody out here for Kettle Moraine. Fouled off. That hit the umpire right in the noggin. Strike 1. Bases still loaded. On the outside for a strike. 0-2. Oppold was in the same position before. He was down 0-2 and was able to get hit by a pitch. Here's the next pitch. Down low. 1-2. Next pitch. Hit out to center. Makes the catch. Gets the throw into third. As the runner stays put. And the fly out to the center fielder for the first out.
First out, brings in a run. Brings up left fielder, Olsen. Way down back.
Didn't see that sacrifice. Brings in a run. Runners at first and second stay put. 2-1 now for Kettle Moraine. The Lasers with the lead. Oconomowoc pops up. Sorry about that. Oconomowoc post 91 is the team at bat. They're the one that has just taken the lead 2-1 here in the second. Only 1 out after that sacrifice fly by Caden Oppold. Here's the pitch. Bunt opportunity. Lays it out front. Throw to 1, but the second baseman he didn't think was there in time, so he didn't lead him, and it's a good bunt and moves all the runners around.
Olsen reaches out, infield hit, brings up second baseman Ryan
Goes down as an infield single.
Shepard not there.
Ryan Hoyda up to bat. Second baseman. Struck out looking in the first inning. Bases loaded for Oconomowoc. Outside, Fracaro with a nice stop there. Frederick at third. Bruns has at second. And Olson is at first for Oconomowoc. Here comes the pitch by Frederick. Check swing. Second baseman makes it and gonna get doubled off at first.
Twice they've done that. It's into the 4-3 double play to retire the side. In the inning for Oconomowoc, they pick up a couple runs and a couple of hits. Walk Kettle in air, they strand 2. After 2-1.
2 runs on 1 hit.
23 pitches for
2 errors and 2 left on. After 2 complete, Oconomowoc post 91 with a 2-1 lead over the Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196. We'll be back for the top of the third. Welcome back here to the Gus in Waupun as we get ready here for the top of the third. Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196 trailing 2-1. Leadoff hitter Emmett Kelchin will be starting out here for Kettle Moraine in the third. Turns on that one, drives it out to right field, and out in right field making the catch is Bruns to make the out. Caden Asher now coming up, pitcher for Kettle Moraine. A ball by the pitcher Frederick from Oconomowoc. Asher had reached on a walk. Here's the pitch. Inside, ball 2. Two and 0. Frederick ready to deliver. Here's the pitch. It's going to be hit out to center. Right at him for the second out.
Asher lines the center for the second out. Brings up the catcher, Dominic Fracaro.
Brings up Dominic Fracaro. Catcher for Kettle Moraine. Here's the pitch. High for a ball. Just the next pitch by Frederick. Fouled off. And 1-1 to the catcher from Kettle Moraine. He was hit by a pitch in the first inning. Got on base. Hits that ball high out to center field and makes the catch out in center for the out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody on. 3 up and 3 down for Kettle Moraine. 42 pitches through 3 for Frederick. We'll be back here for the bottom of the third when Oconomowoc post 91 comes up to bat. Welcome back here to the Gus. Coming up to bat for Oconomowoc is going to be number 15, Drake Shepard, the first baseman. Drew Neverman, and then Parker Schreindel for Oconomowoc. Shepard grounded out to the third baseman, his first time up to bat. Oconomowoc with a 2-1 lead. Pitcher for Kettle Moraine, Asher, fires a ball. Here comes the next pitch. Hit on the ground to the first baseman, Eckert. He's going to grab it and step on the base to get the out.
First out brings up shortstop Drew Neverman. Schwindel on there.
Same pitcher, Sly.
Drew Neverman now up to bat. Schreindel is on deck. Neverman is the shortstop for Oconomowoc. Here comes the pitch. Just a bit inside for a ball. Make sure if you're watching this game, feel free to put something in the chat. Let us know who your favorite player is, where you're watching from. It's a ball. It's your favorite team. Who you're cheering for, let us know. Be glad to share that information out here in between innings. 2-0. Hit over towards the third baseman, picks it up, fires, and gets it across the diamond for an out.
Covering grounds the third for the second out brings up the pitcher, Parker Schwindel. Parker's on deck.
Schreindel up to bat. Number 16, he's the catcher for the opposing team. Asher's the pitcher. Here's the pitch. In there for a strike. Here comes the next pitch. Also, just a little bit low. 1-1. Beautiful day for baseball at the Gus. Ball 2 on the outside. 2 down here for Oconomowoc. Here's the pitch. In there for a strike. 2-2. Asher ready to deliver for Kettle Moraine. On the outside, gets him looking for his strikeout. For the third out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. 2-1, Oconomowoc with the lead after 3. 55 for Asher through 3 innings. We'll be back here for the top of the 4th. Oconomowoc again from post 91 holds the lead 2-1 over Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196. 4th inning, leading off Logan Gronwald for Kettle Moraine Lasers. New pitcher coming in for Oconomowoc is going to be number 9, Caden Oppold. Defensive changes, and the pitcher, Frederick, went out to left. Olson moved from left to center. 2-0 is the count to Gronwald. Right in there for a strike. 2-1. A little bit low and outside. 3-1 is the count to Gronwald. Kettle Moraine trailing by 1 run. Here in the top of the 4th. Here's the pitch. And draws the walk.
Gronwald draws the leadoff walk, brings up shortstop Ethan Buer.
Brings up Ethan Buer. Number 1 for Kettle Moraine. Hit into a fielder's choice the last time. Appold checking the runner over at first. Pitch outside for a ball. Here's the pitch. Right on the outside edge. 1-1. Gronwald over at first for Kettle Moraine. Takes off. In the dirt, gets away. Turns to look at 3, doesn't. It's a nice job there by Schreindel to get the ball in a hurry. Stolen base by Gronwald. Buer at the plate, 2-1 is the count. Here's the pitch by Appold on the outside for a strike. 2-2. Here comes the next pitch. Knocked down for a ball, 3-2. To the shortstop, Ethan Buer for Kettle Moraine. Trailing here by a run, but they have a runner in scoring position at second and draws the walk. Brennan Stryeski comes up to bat, number 21. Here comes the pitch by Appold. Bunt way up above his head. Went foul. This counts as a strike 1. Here comes the pitch by Appold. Turns to bunt again. Bunts it towards the second base and misses it. 0-2 to Stryeski. Appold looks in for the sign from Schreindel. Here comes the pitch. In the dirt, slides over and blocks it. 1-2. Keeps the runners at first and second. Gronwald and Buer. Here comes the pitch. Outside for a ball. 2-2. Stryeski flew out to the pitcher the first time, ended up turning it into a double play. Here's the pitch. Pop fly over to the right-hand side for a foul. Still keeps the count 2-2. The wind blowing in a little bit from left. Partly cloudy. 3-2.
Jeff, you could have said partly sunny.
I could have, but I'm looking at clouds. Here's the pitch. Over his head and draws the walk. Runners at first, second, and third. Bases are loaded. Nobody out, and it brings up Grayson Lurich, the right fielder. Lurich struck out looking in the second. Coach comes out to have a conversation. It's going to pull Appold. It's going to move Olson into third. It's going to bring Harkins into pitch. And Oppold's going to go back out to center. We'll be back with a new pitcher warming up.
21 Harkins.
Welcome back here to the Gus. New pitcher is Harkins. He comes over from third. Pitch gets passed, and scoring from third base on that wild pitch. Ties the game and moves the runners up from over to second and third. Ball one to Lurich. Here comes the next pitch from Harkins. In there for a strike. 1-1. Came into the situation with bases loaded. Ended up throwing a wild pitch in the first pitch and cleared those bases. Shouldn't say cleared the bases. Allowed one run to score. Strike there by Lurich. 1-2 on that breaking ball from Harkins. Here comes the pitch. In the dirt, nice drop block there by Schreindel. 2-2. Schreindel doesn't get that block. That's going to give the Kettle Moraine the lead here. The runner scoring from third, potentially. Gets it to the inside, hits it over to the shortstop. Tried to backhand it, and that allows the run to score on the error.
Lurich reaches on the air, brings up second baseman Sullivan.
Runner holds at second in Stryeski. So runners at first and second brings up Sullivan Voges. Here's the pitch, turns to bunt, lays it down. The pitcher picks it up. Harkins fires it over to first to get the out. With Shepard, moves the runners around.
Both advances the runners with the sac bunt for the first out. Brings up first baseman Brady Eckert. Top of the order, Kelcher on that.
Sacrifice bunt was successful. It's only one out. Brings up number 9 hitter, Brady Eckert. First pitch is in there for a ball. Here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss, 1-1. 3-2. Kettle Moraine now with the lead. Here in the top of the fourth. Outside, it gets away from Harkins and Schreindel, and sliding in is safe is Strieski. Wild pitch scores another run. 4-2 for post 196, the Lasers of Kettle Moraine. Popped up into the air on the bunt attempt. One and two. Oh, you have 2-2? Is it 2-2? Did I miss a pitch? It's possible. 1 out, 2-2. Here comes the pitch. Breaking ball on the outside. Full count. Runner over at third. Here's the pitch. Gets him swinging for the strikeout. The second out of the inning. Brings up top of the order Emmett Kelchin, the center fielder. We're number 2. Third at bat. First pitch is for a ball. Here comes the pitch. High, ball 2. Kelchin drew a walk in the first and flew out to the right fielder in the third. Ended up scoring on that walk. It's the first run. In there for a strike, 2-1. Two down with a 2-run lead here for Kettle Moraine. Harkins delivers inside. 3-1. In there for a strike, makes it a full count. 2 down, runner over at third. Full count. Here comes the pitch by Harkins. Hit over to the first base side, but a great play there by the first baseman to snag that one. They couldn't get the camera flipped quick enough. Quickly gets the backhand on the glove and gets this step on the bag out. 3 runs on no hits, 1 error, and 1 left on. 4-2, Kettle Moraine post 196, the Lasers, with a lead over Oconomowoc in after 3.5 complete. We'll be back for the bottom of the fourth. Welcome back here to the Gus. Oconomowoc coming up to bat here in the bottom of the fourth. Leading off is going to be the new pitcher, Matt Harkins.
Leading off for Oconomowoc in the bottom of the fourth, pitcher, Matt Harkins. Frederick on deck.
Oconomowoc trailing now 4-2. They did have the lead. Gave up 3 runs in that last inning without a single hit. First pitch a little bit low. It's a ball. Is a ball to Harkins. Here's the next pitch by Asher. The pitcher for Kettle Moraine. A little bit low again, ball 2. Trying to pick a nibble on that outside. Here comes the pitch. Fouled off. Two and one. Here comes the pitch by Asher. Gets past Fracaro, the catcher, for a ball. 3-1. On the outside, and Harkins draws a walk.
Harkins draws the leadoff walk, brings up left fielder, Dylan Frederick. Runs on deck.
Brings up Dylan Frederick, left fielder. Did start out, was the starting pitcher. Fredericks drew a walk the last time. Outside for a ball. Here's the next pitch. Inside for a strike, right on the inside edge. 1-1. Here's the pitch. Outside. 2-1. Number 8 hitter is Dylan Frederick. Got all the way over to third after walking. In the second inning. Inside, takes a swing at that. 2-2. Here comes the pitch. Outside. Full count now to Frederick.
6-15.
Runner over at first is Matt Harkins. Here's the pitch. Outside and drawing the walk is Frederick. Runners now at first and second. Brings up the number 9 hitter in the lineup, Austin Bruns. It's the right fielder. Had a single the last time he was up to bat. Bunts, lays it down perfectly in front. Fires over to second to get the out. Advances the runners.
Set bunt for Bruns, advances the runners. For the first out, brings up top of the order, Caden Apple.
Brings up the top of the order, Caden Appold.
Aaron, you announcing tomorrow then, yeah?
Yeah.
This guy is working and I know Vega.
Yeah.
Center fielder for Oconomowoc.
What's that?
Love to watch it on Jeff's live stream.
There's a strike. 0-1. This count to Appold. Was hit by a pitch in the first, had a sacrifice in the second. A little bit low, 1-1.
Kaiser baptism tomorrow.
1 out. 1-1 is the count. Here's the pitch. Inside, 2-1. Runners at second and third. Oconomowoc trailing here by 2 runs. That's going to be slapped out to the right-hand side over to the right fielder. It's going to allow the run to try and score. Trying to hit the relay. They don't. They go to third. Got him at third for the third out. So run score? Run scored.
Sac fly for Oppo brings in a run. Third out is tagged out at third. The inning for Oconomowoc to pick up a run and no hits.
So the run does count. Thrown out 9-1 or 9-3 to 5 on the third out at third base. That was a third pitch. Fourth pitch. It was 2 balls and a strike.
So it'd be 16 pitches for Asher, 71 total.
1 run on no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. After 4 complete here at the Gus in Waupun, the score is 4-3. Oconomowoc post 91 trailing Kettle Moraine Lasers 196. Welcome back here to the Gus. Top of the 5th, leading off for Kettle Moraine Lasers out of post 196, number 7, Caden Asher, the pitcher. Fracaro on deck. Here's the pitch. Nice pitch in there, but it's a ball. Must have been a little bit low. Harkins is the pitcher on the mound for Oconomowoc. Here's the pitch. Inside for a ball. 2-0 is the count to Asher. Here comes Harkins. Short arms that one a little bit, makes it 3-0. Here comes the next pitch. In there for a strike. 3-1. Harkins finds a strike zone. Oconomowoc trailing by 1 run. Nice hit there. Right between first hit of the game. Wow. Single by Asher.
Asher reaches on the first hit of the game for Kettle Moraine. Brings up catcher.
3 runs on no hits.
4 runs. There at the top, yeah. Asher reaches on the first hit of the game. So Kettle Moraine has scored 4 runs without a hit. No more. Asher dives back. Harkins throws over.
Top 5, right? We're in. See.
Asher looking like he's taking off. He is. Here comes the throw. Schreindel just a little bit short. Stolen base by Asher.
Just a
Stolen
little
base for
short.
Asher.
Just a little short.
Fracaro now has a runner in scoring position. 1-1 is the count. That pitch on the throw down to second was a first pitch strike. Here comes the pitch again. On the outside edge for a strike. 1-2. Fracaro was hit by a pitch and flew out to center in the third. Looking for his first hit of the game. Just a little bit outside, makes it 2-2. Here it turns back. Asher was expecting it and is upstanding in second. Here's the pitch. Inside. Into right center. That's back-to-back hits. Fracaro now has his hit. And the run's going to score from second. Asher with some good base running scores the run. Gets another insurance run for the lead. So first RBI of the game.
Courtesy runner for the catcher, number 14, Ben Schwartz.
And Schwartz is coming in as the courtesy runner for the catcher. 5-3 now is the lead for Kettle Moraine. First pitch in there by Harkins to Gronwald is a strike. Harkins, chance at a stolen base again. This is a better throw by Schreindel, but still ends up just a hop short. Another stolen base. So runners in scoring position again. A runner in scoring position. 1-1 is the count to Gronwald. Here's the pitch. Inside. 2-1. Two-run lead here now for Kettle Moraine, the Lasers. Oconomowoc from post 91. Harkins is the pitcher on the outside edge. 2-2. Logan Gronwald, the pitcher. The hitter right now. Is the third baseman. Harkins to deliver. Fouled off by Gronwald. Still 2-2 is the count. Nobody out for the Oconomowoc defense. Here comes the pitch from Harkins. On the outside with a breaking ball, that's fouled off. Here's the pitch. High. Gets it to a full count. Kettle Moraine trying to keep their hit parade going as they've got back-to-back hits after having none of getting their first hits here in the fifth. Here's the pitch. Down low and draws the walk. And runners now at first and second.
Draws the walk, brings up shortstop Ethan Bueller. Strayeski out there.
Brings up Ethan Bueller, the shortstop. We're in number 1. Runners at first and second for Kettle Moraine. Turns to bunt. Gets to the outside, and the runners take off and advance on the attempted bunt. Pulled back, so it's a ball by Bueller. So 2 stolen bases.
Respect for the catcher right now, that's for sure.
Here comes Harkins with the pitch. Way over the head. Just lost that breaking ball. 2-0. Fracaro, we had a courtesy runner come in for him, right? Schwark is in for Fracaro. Gronwald is at second. Here's the pitch. Outside, gets away from Schreindel. He's going to try and take off with a late start. Still gets in there and scores for Kettle Moraine. And Gronwald is able to move up. 3-0 is the count to Bueller. Harkins ready to deliver. Right down the middle for a strike. 3-1. Here comes the pitch. Inside, and he's going to walk him. Nobody out. Runners on the corners. Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196 with a 6-3 lead. Throws over to first to hold the runner. Bueller dives back in. Here's the next pitch. Bueller takes off. Tried to lay down a bunt again was Strayeski. Goes for a strike. Has Bueller going back to first base. I think that was the first pitch. I had 0-1 as well. Here comes the next pitch. Runner takes off and bunt again, fouls it. Forcing the runner to go back. He should just let the runner advance. Or does he? I thought it was a foul. Oh, okay. So the runner does advance. I thought it was a tip ball, foul ball, but wasn't. So it's stolen base by Bueller. 0-2 is the count now to Strayeski. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball high. 1-2. Nobody out yet for Kettle Moraine. Here's the pitch by Harkins. Gets his swing in, but gets away from the catcher, so a run is going to score, and he gets down on the strikeout.
Especially a K in the book, but Rescue will reach on the wild pitch and score.
Somebody should throw a 0-0.
That's right fielder Grayson Lorch.
Brings up Grayson Lorch, number 10, right fielder. Lorich struck out looking, then reached on an error in the fourth. Still nobody out. 7-3 now for Kettle Moraine. Swing by Lorich. Gets away from the catcher. And another run's going to score on the wild pitch. That was
15. So Hunter and scores, right? Step up. Everybody else, yes.
8-3. Harkins ready to deliver. Fouled off by Lorich. 0-2. Sullivan Vogues.
Anybody else that has just on the waiting list? If we get enough by, I don't know, next Saturday for a 15?
Here comes the pitch. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Yeah, strikeout. Strikeout looking
Lorich goes down looking for the first out, brings up the second baseman.
for the first official out.
Eckert's out there.
Sullivan Vogues comes up now. He's placed second base. Flew out to left field. First pitch in there for a strike by Harkins. In the second, grounded out to the pitcher in the fourth. Here's the next pitch. Outside. 1-1. Sullivan Vogues up at bat. Harkins ready to deliver. High. Ball 2. 2-1. Runner at second base is Brennan Stryeski. Here's the pitch. In the dirt. Gets away. Tries to get over to third and does, standing up. 3-1 to the 8-hitter.
Quarter on a fastball. Absolutely. Is there a chance
Here comes the pitch by Harkins. Right down the middle for a strike. Full count now, 3-2.
I didn't know you were going to get all critical. I got all the backs off the right side.
Sorry. I mean, that's highly likely because that's like all I have wrote in the book this evening. So.
Here comes the next pitch. Breaking ball for a strike for the second out. Looking.
Vogues goes down looking for the second out, brings up first baseman Greg Eckert.
Brings up the number 9 hitter in the lineup here for the Lasers. Brady Eckert. Grounded out to the third baseman in the second. Struck out in the fourth. Ball 1 to Eckert. Stryeski sitting over at third.
I seen you walking over that way and I looked at it. I thought, oh, maybe he went home. I'll take a jump with Tara, maybe. I thought.
Harkins delivers. In there for a strike. 1-1. Here comes the pitch from Harkins. Ooh, on the inside for a ball. 2-1. Top of the fifth, Kettle Moraine put 4 runs across so far. That's going to be hit on the ground to the shortstop. Eats him up, error. Fires over to first and missed.
There's been a lot of that.
Eckert reaches on the air, brings in a run. Brings up top of the order, center fielder, Kenneth Kelchin. Escher on there.
Gets to first on the error. Also gets an RBI for the run. Yeah, sounds good. That one's hit hard foul. Almost picked off one of the kids down there. Top of the order, the ninth hitter in the inning, Emmett Kelchin. Strike two by Harkins.
Anybody want to guess how many pitches he has this inning?
I'd go
50?
This is 43.
Here comes the pitch. In there for strike three, looking. All 3 outs by the K, so nice job there by Harkins to get the 3 outs.
oh, four outs by the K.
All 4, you're right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs on 2 hits,
Kelchin goes down looking.
1 error.
Inside the inning for Kettle Moraine. They got 5 runs and 2 hits.
Nobody left on.
1 Oconomowoc error, and they strand none after 4.5, 9-3.
After 4.5 complete, 9-3 is your score.
Total 61.
61 total pitches for Harkins at the end of that inning. We'll be back here for the bottom of the 5th when Oconomowoc comes up to bat. Welcome back here to the Gus in Waupun Region 4 16U American Legion Tournament. Bottom of the 5th inning, leading off is Augie Olson, left fielder. First pitch to Olson was in there for, I think it was a ball. That's going to be flared out to left side. Foul. 1-1 should be the count, I think. To Olson.
Just say Chuck, right?
Yep. Same guy that was dealing earlier.
Asher's out there. Here comes the pitch. Hit to the shortstop, fielded cleanly there by
Oh my God.
Brewer. Buer, and it's booted by Eckert.
Olson reaches on the air, brings up second baseman Ryan Hoyda. Shut that up.
Runner on first now is Augie Olson. Asher ready to deliver for Kettle Moraine. It's pulled. Line drive. Nice snag there by the third baseman. I couldn't get it there quick enough, but a great play there by Gronwald to get the out.
The third baseman retires Hoyda for the first out, brings up first baseman.
To get Ryan Hoyda.
Never been at that.
Brings up Drake Shepard. First pitch in there for a ball. Shepard hit one down the third baseline the first time. was thrown out. The last time up, ended up pulling one right to the first baseman, so an unassisted play for an out. Here comes the pitch. Outside, 2-1. Runner over at first is Augie Olson. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. 2-2.
And that much foot over that. Okay, I just,
You can also, the way our strikes are, it can also definitely be called a strikeout if it hits your knee, I can tell you that.
Here comes the pitch. Outside, ball 3, 3-2. 9-3. Oconomowoc is trailing. Here comes the pitch. Right down the middle. Hammered at the shortstop. Steps on it.
no, what are you doing?
Just throw the ball. Got him out. Just barely. Unreal.
We got 2, let's go in.
Yeah.
Shepard left into the sixth.
So Shepard
Retired the side in the inning for Oconomowoc, no runs. no
ends
hits.
up lining out to the shortstop for the second out.
Strand gone after 5.
And 6-3 on the putout
10 pitches for Asher, 81 total.
for the third out.
Never do something like that coaching first, just say that's just bad base coaching.
You gotta change, Scotty, I think.
After 5 complete, 9-3 is your score on the scoreboard here from the Gus. We'll be back for the top of the 6th. New pitcher out here for Oconomowoc. That is going to be Austin Bruns coming in. First pitch is in there for a strike. To Caden Asher. Next pitch. In there for a strike again. Number 2. Got Asher swinging. Here's the next pitch. Little high. 1-2. Here's the pitch inside for a strike. First out for the new pitcher coming in. Bruns faces one hitter, throws 4 pitches, and gets the strikeout. Brings up Dominic Fricaro, the catcher. Here's the pitch, right down the middle. Hit hard into right center. Gets the single for the 3rd hit of the game for the Kettle Moraine Lasers. His 2nd hit. So he's got 2 of the 3 hits for the team.
Correction, new hitter hits. Number 31, Riley Penoyer.
Coming 14 to run, that's Ben Schwark.
Schwartz is courtesy running again.
Brings up number 31 coming in, that's Riley Penoyer. Coming in to hit for Gronwald. Ball 1 to Penoyer. Here's the pitch. Ball 2.
The strike zone that was just missed.
Schwark with the lead over at first base. Here's the pitch, fouled off by Penoyer. 2-1. Bruns is doing his job. He's throwing strikes. Here comes the pitch. Little bit low. 3-1. Here comes the pitch. Ooh. Inside, and he draws the base on balls. Runners at first and second. Brings up number 1, Ethan Buer. Buer's been on base all 3 times that he's been up to bat. Drew 2 walks, and it was in a fielder's choice. Here's the pitch. Popped off to the right-hand side. First baseman is trying to get there, and it goes out of his glove. Long strike. Shepard was hustling over to get it, just hit it out of the heel of his glove. Here's the pitch. High. 1-1. Here comes the pitch by Bruns. Stefchik gets over there and drops it. Another long strike. 1-2.
Batter's got 9 lives.
Ethan Buer at bat.
Ron Bishop. We'll give him a little mic check. Yeah, he's here.
Here comes the pitch. Fouled off. Keeps the count at 1-2.
Shaking hands and kissing babies.
One out. Runners at first and second. Here's the pitch by Bruns. Slapped at by Buer on the outside for a foul ball.
You guys get a little Kent up here?
I didn't hear him really.
Here's the pitch. Inside for a ball. 2-2. Penoyer over at first. Schwark, the pinch runner for Fracaro, over at second. The two defense both come in and collapse. It's going to be hit right to Bruns. Fires over to third, tries to get over to first for the double. Misses it, allows the runner to advance. Yep.
Here, grounds into the fielder's choice. Runner advances to third on the air. Brings up left fielder Brennan Strajewski. Or agenda.
Two down now. Good defensive play there by the pitcher. Bruns fired it over to third base to get the out. Third baseman then Stefchek fired it over to first and missed it. Runner takes off. That'll be a stolen base. And the run's going to score by Penoyer.
Those stolen bases brings in a run.
Ten to 3. For Kettle Moraine. There's the pitch. Down low, blocked there by Schreindel. Runner still at second base. Here's the pitch. High. 2-0. Did I miss one? Is it 2-1?
First one he stole was a strike.
Oh, okay. 2-1. Fouls that one off, makes it 2-2. The batter's Brennan Strajewski. Gets him swinging for the third out.
Strajewski goes down swinging to retard the side. And for Kettle Moraine to pick up a run on one hit.
One run on one hit, one error, and one stranded. After 5.5, your score is 10 to 3 here from the Gus. 22 pitches for Brunn, the fourth pitcher used by Oconomowoc. Asher still has pitches available for Kettle Moraine. We'll be back here for the bottom of the sixth, 10 to 3. Post 196 leads post 91. First pitch swung on by number 20 from Oconomowoc. It's going to be Drew Neverman with a base hit.
Catcher Parker Schreindel.
Schreindel on deck, or on at the bat. Here comes the pitch. Ball high. Here comes the pitch to Schreindel from Asher. A little bit low, ball 2. Here comes the next pitch. Fouled off to the right-hand side by Schreindel. 2-1. Runner over at first base is Drew Neverman. Asher with the pitch. Right down the middle and gets him swinging for a strike. 2-2. Here comes the next pitch. Ball makes it a full count. Neverman still over at first base. Asher ready to deliver. Hit on the ground to the third baseman. Penoyer's going to field it, fire it over, and get the force out. Nice play there by Penoyer.
Trying to ground into the fielder's choice for the first out. Third baseman Tyler Stepchuk. Frederick on deck.
Brings up number 11, Tyler Stefchek. He's come in to hit for Matt Harkins. Two and 0 is the count to Stefchek. Here comes the pitch from Asher. Right down the middle. Over the glove of the pitcher. Short. Looks to try and turn it. No. Is able to get one on the fielder's choice.
Stepchuk grounds into the fielder's choice for the second out. Brings up Dylan Frederick. Runs on deck.
Brings up Dylan Frederick. Whoops. Yep, number 34. Sorry about that. Dylan Frederick. Stefchek is over at first base. One and 0 with 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Hit hard. Out in center. A nice single there for Frederick. It's his first hit of the game.
Frederick reaches on the base hit. With the pitcher, Austin Bruns.
Brings up number 1, Austin Bruns, the pitcher. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Inside for a ball. To Austin Bruns. Here comes the next pitch by Asher outside. 2-0. With 2 outs. On the outside edge for a strike. The number 9 hitter in the lineup for Oconomowoc. Trailing 10-3 to Kettle Moraine. Here's the pitch. High, 3-1 from Asher. How many pitches does Asher have, approximately? 87. Here comes the next pitch. And draws the walk to load the bases. Brings up top of the order now, number 9, Caden Oppold. Oppold looking for his first hit of the game. Here's the pitch, right in there for a strike. Here comes the pitch. A little bit low. 1-1 to Caden Oppold. Asher ready to deliver. Here's the pitch. Right down the middle. Hit towards second base into the gap. It's going to score 1 run. It's going to send a second one in. And get the ball in. 2 runs scored by Oppold and has got his base hit. Brings up Dylan Melk. Runners at the corners. First pitch in there for a ball. Here comes the next pitch by Asher. In tight. Ball 2. Ball gets away from the pitcher. Runners hold. Ball on the outside. Ball 3 to Melk. Slapped over to the right-hand side, right to the first baseman. Steps on to get the third out. 3 unassisted.
First to retire the side. Inning 4, Oconomowoc to pick up a couple runs and a couple of hits.
2 runs on 2 hits. 1 error and 1 strand 2. Sorry about that. 10-5 is your score after 6 complete. We'll be back here for the top of the 7th. You're listening to Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live stream. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Coming up to bat for Kettle Moraine Lasers, post 196, Grayson Lorich be leading off, number 10. Sullivan Vogues, and then a pinch hitter is going to be Ben Schwartz coming in to hit. First pitch is in there for a strike to Lorich. Here in the top of the 7th. Kettle Moraine with the lead. Here's the pitch. Fouled off, strike 2. Austin Bruns is the pitcher for Oconomowoc. He's come in and actually done a nice job of just throwing strikes. Here's the pitch. A little bit low, ball. 1-2. I know. Here's the pitch. Hit over towards the shortstop. Going to be fielded there. He's going to beat it out. Good hustle by Lorich. As Neverman tried to field it and get it over to Shepard. Unable to do so. Infield hit for Lorich. Sullivan Vogues up to bat next. Runner over at first. Hit over to third baseman. That's going to go off a Steph check. Good job there by Neverman to try and get the field again, but unable to do so. So reaching on the air is going to be Vogues. Ben Schwartz up to bat. Coming in to hit for number 20, Brady Eckert. Here's the pitch. Ball low. Lorich had a huge lead over there at second. Here's the next pitch. Low as well, ball 2. Two and 0 to Schwartz. Huge run takeoff by Lorich. Gets in there. The runners advance to second and third. Three and 0 is the count now to Schwartz. Here's the pitch by Bruns. And loads the bases.
Schwartz loads the bases, brings up top of the order.
Number 2, Emmett Kelchin, the center fielder, is coming up to bat. Schreindel going out to have a conversation with his pitcher. Pretty even game so far. Emmett Kelchin ready to come in and hit from the windup. Here's Bruns. Right down the middle for a strike. Kelchin still looking for a hit. Drew a walk in the first and scored, but since then has been put out. Ball, 1-1. Here comes the next pitch by Bruns. Inside, 2-1. Nobody out yet here in the 7th. Bases are loaded, no place to put Kelchin. 3-1. Here comes the pitch. Right down the middle. Fouled off to the left-hand side. Full count. Nobody out, bases loaded. No place to put Kelchin. Bruns with the pitch. Popped out to center field. Left center, fielded there by Oppold. Fires the ball in. Got him. Nice job there on the tag out. So a double play. Fly out to the center fielder for the first out, and then tag that home on the 8-2 put out for the second out. Brings up Caden Asher. Asher still is the pitcher. He's got 10 pitches left, I believe. In there for a strike by Bruns.
The easiest call on a close play.
Exactly. Absolutely. When you stop his hand from doing it.
Strike one, or strike two by Asher. 2 outs. Here's the pitch by Bruns. A little bit low, blocked. 1-2. Here comes the next pitch. Ooh, that looked pretty good, but it's a little bit outside or high. 2-2. Here's the next pitch. Hit hard down the line. Scores 1 run on the base hit.
Asher helps his own cause with his second hit. Brings up the catcher, Dominic Fracaro.
Runner in Schwartz was held at third. 11-5. Brings up the catcher, Dominic Fracaro. Runner takes off. In there for a strike.
Kettle Moraine, I'll talk to him too, but I'm not sure what time. Scheduled to play 11, but depends upon matchups.
Here comes the next pitch by Bruns.
And what happens in the night.
Popped up. Bruns is calling for it in the infield. And the pitch first baseman runs into him and knocks it out of his glove. And there's an error, and the run scores.
Fracaro reaches on the air, brings it over. So, right from here.
Seen that one coming.
12-5 now. Runner takes off. That's going to be slapped over to right. Base hit by Penoyer. Run's going to score.
Probably won't be able to announce Monday, boy. I don't think it's gonna get necessary.
Unless it goes to if necessary.
That's on the umpires.
Runner back over at third.
Just remember, if we weren't here, it'd be just
13-5. Looks like a new hitter came in, right? Number 13.
Yeah, but he was in the
Oh, he was?
viewer before.
Okay.
Technically he was in it, oh yeah.
Dawson Mao is the new hitter for Ethan Buer. He came in defensively in the last inning. I didn't get all the defensive changes. 1-2 with 2 outs to Mao. 2-2. Runners at second and third. 13-5. Here's the pitch right down the middle. It gets him swinging for the out.
Goes down swinging to retire the side, ending inning for Kettle Moraine. They pick up 3 runs.
3 runs on 3 hits,
2 Oconomowoc errors.
2 errors, and strand 2.
5. Kettle Moraine.
After 6.5 complete, your score is 13-5. The Kettle Moraine Lasers of post 196 with the lead over to Oconomowoc. Post 91. Coming up to bat is Oconomowoc. Welcome back here to the Gus in Waupun as we get ready here for the bottom of the 7th. Oconomowoc coming up to bat.
95 pitches.
New pitchers, Francaro. And Lurich is going to move to the catcher. And I know there's some other changes, and I'm not going to pick those up right away here. First pitch by Francaro is a ball. Leading off for Oconomowoc is Ryan Hoyda. He's looking for his first hit. Swing and a miss there, 1-1.
I don't know why you would take him off. Not until you need to. Level 105. Now you're just burning another guy.
Yep. Here's the next pitch. Ball high, 2-1. Here's the pitch. Hit hard by Hoyda. Up into the jet stream. Bounces off the warning track. It's going to be a long double. He didn't take off running right away. And warning track for a base hit. Double. Take that back. Brings up number 15, Drake Shepard, the first baseman. Here's the pitch. In there for a strike by Francaro. Sorry about that, Francaro. Here's the next pitch. Inside, gets past Lurich, and that's going to allow the runner to get to third. 1-1. Here's the pitch by Fracaro. A little bit high, 2-1. Shepard looking for his first hit as well. Pops that one up. Shortstop is calling for it. Gets the fly ball for the out.
Pops to short for the first out. Shortstop Drew Neverman.
Brings up Drew Neverman now, the shortstop for Oconomowoc. Here's the pitch. Off the shin guard of Lurich. That's going to allow the run to score. And Oconomowoc 13-6. Only needs 7 runs to tie. 1 out.
I called it. 8-run inning. They only with 2 outs.
Here's the pitch. Inside. Ball 2. For Caro. Delivers to Neverman for a strike. 2-1. Here's the next pitch. Right down the middle, fouled off. 2-2. Here comes the next pitch by Fracaro. Ball. Gets it to a full count. 3-2. Here's the pitch. Gets him swinging for the second out. Brings up the catcher, Parker Schreindel. Schreindel looking for his first hit. Ball. Reached on a base on balls and scored in the second. Struck out in the third looking. Hit into a fielder's choice in the sixth. 2 down here for Kettle Moraine Lasers. A little bit high. 2-0. Here's the pitch. Outside, 3-0. Fracaro has a huge lead. He just needs to throw strikes here. Here's the pitch. In for a strike. I know. Here's the pitch. in there for a strike again. Full count now. Here's the opportunity to end this game for the Kettle Moraine Lasers out of post 196 to end the tournament for Oconomowoc post 91. Here's the pitch. Down the middle. Hit in the air. Calling for it is the shortstop and gets the catch, and that's going to do it. I believe that was Strajewski.
4 minutes to get this game going on time.
Right, exact goal. Get those sheets up here. We got to get going with this next game. Horacon's going to be taking on Hartford. Or no, it's going to be taking on...
Aiming for Oconomowoc. 1 run on 1 hit. Base
Yep,
drive.
Hartford.
Your final, 13-6. Kettle Moraine.
Final score here from the Gus in this elimination game. Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196 stay alive, and they'll be playing tomorrow at some time. We got to just see how things work out with the next 2 games to see who, because you can't play the same team that you've already lost to unless it's the only setup that works. 13-6 was the final score here from the Gus. We'll be back on air in about 15 minutes for the start of the next game. Thanks for listening to Jeff's live stream. Hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. Take care. God bless.